Hi, day 2, update, money has arrived. Not all of it, but money has arrived. For those that have just joined, this is my 30-day manifestation challenge, but it doesn't really matter how long the days are or how long the period of time, because the main thing that you need to know is that this is my committed public journal to documenting me practicing the practice of manifestation. And we're focused on a very specific goal as part of the Training Wheels part of this program, which is about a Pilates membership. Making an $80 a week Pilates membership, either the money or the membership itself, something appear. Now, today is, Technique Tuesday, Theory Tuesday, but as we go, I'm realizing I'm just going to want to share things that happen as they happen, right? And then we'll do our roundup at the end of the week. But the things I wanted to cover off today, I even came prepared with notes and a bit of a talking schedule. I think I wanted to share, first of all, this, where I'm operating from. It's no one grounded school of thought or framework or singular book that I'm working through. There's many things that I'm referring to, and I'm going to be picking and choosing as I go as to what feels good and what bears results. So I'll give you, first of all, though, my kind of technical framework or theory that I feel like I'm operating from, or that from all the collective reading that I've done, makes the most sense to me. I'll put it on the screen, but maybe I'll refer to my notes here. Now, this is pretty sloppy. This is just me okay, there's some core pillars as we go, right, that are already part of my practice. Journaling and diary writing every day. I'm doing it every day. I'm spitting it back and forth with AI. I'm getting, suggestions around what might be something I'm not noticing, or what's next, or how to improve, or how to deepen, or what other sources I could think of. Most of it's really useful, even just for the synthesis and the kind of, cyclical kind of entrenching of what I'm trying to express. And some of it's not useful at all and feels very comfortable and being no, I'm not going to go with that. But I think basically, if I had to just give it a very basic lay overview, and the lay person here is me, but this is the kind of theory. So the theory is you have to kind of do some sort of research or thinking or engaging with some people who are much more knowledgeable, experienced, and experts, subject matter experts on the topic of manifestation and all that there is. I think then the first thing is gaining clarity, and that clarity sort of comes through self-reflection. Clarity on what we're talking about. What is the scope? Are we talking about magical wishes? Are we talking about just prayer? Are we talking about the idea of a scientific kind of filtering of our focus? And the type of I'm shopping for a red car, so I see red cars everywhere. Are we talking about that? Are we talking about Rhonda Byrne's The Secret, in that weird chapter where she sort of, says that a friend healed their own poor eyesight through, visioning and manifesting? Maybe none of those, maybe all of those. But here's my kind of loose overview. I think there needs to be just some sort of understanding or the background of what it is. And I think that background has to be things like an awareness of the world that we live in today, an appropriateness of conduct in that public world, and what information you share and whom you share it with. I think it needs to have a sense of checking your own privilege and what is your personal entry point into this work. I think that it needs to have an awareness and clarity about who you are, and an openness to taking feedback and receiving the feedback that you get, either from yourself or the world around you. And I think importantly, this is all sort of before step 1, which is, taking action, moving forwards. I think importantly, there needs to be an acceptance that the life that you have created is your own doing, and that you have been manifesting, as all of us have. Just a reminder at this point in time, this is not an instructional course. This is just a reflective public sharing of my process. But I'll often use the second person pronoun you, because I just do in my life. And I'm someone who casts a lot of thoughts out onto the world, onto other people, when really they're about myself. So with all of that in mind, I think that there needs to be, you can't kind of start this and be like, oh, you need to deal with yourself first. Like so many things in life, you need to deal with yourself first in some way. And that's obviously a lifelong process, but there needs to be some acknowledgement of where are you at this point in your existence? Where are you meeting this work? And I'll just rip through these cycles first, and then I'll feel like I'll respond to like what some of my answers are to these questions. But anyway, so a clarity and then an intention about like, okay, so then where are you heading? And then what do you want? And what's working now? And what do you want more of? And what's not working? And what do you want less of? And then I think once you've clarified that, this is very simple, but like then it's about the kind of like practice of something: meditation, repetition, mindfulness, visioning, embodying, remembering, imagining, embedding, repeating. That feels like an ongoing, very lengthy step. Then there needs to be the kind of like, as you are doing all that, out, I'm doing this, I'm taking control, there needs to be the release. So maybe that's like the tight-fisted part. Then there's the release. And the release is like, I am noticing the results. I am searching for and seeking out the results. I am hungry for like any whiff of possibility of like, of already being there. I feel like there needs to be immense gratitude and reinforcing of whatever those wins are that are occurring. And then I feel like from that, there needs to be the celebration and the positive emotions and the kind of live the outcome feeling. So you're always sort of like a half step ahead. You're always kind of like, I always feel like I need to be kind of like, yes, thank you, more please. Like that needs to be the kind of base statement of like, oh, yes, thank you, more please. And that needs to not be asked with shame or with this kind of sarcastic, like, it needs to be genuinely expressed, authentically. Then I feel like you go back to the start and then you again do the self-reflection. All of that's connected to the theory, right? You can check in with the theory at any point, but and the research and the kind of your own knowledge. But then I feel like you go back to the start, you do self-reflection again, and then you go to like seek, like trying to get some clarity, then moving forward with an intention, on and on and on. And each time kind of expanding your vortex. Shout out to Esther and Abraham Hicks, which we will get to in time. But today, I guess the book that I am reading at the moment is James Doty's Mind Magic. And I'm really trying to like do it in a very slow and thoughtful way, journaling at the end of each chapter, doing the exercises, not so much in real time, but returning to them often. I have a real kind of like defiance to being told what to do by a meditation tape or even an exercise in a book. And I really have to be like, I need to do that in my way and how I want to do it. It's maybe a bit of a problem, but anyway, so far so good. So just to let you know, that's the kind of like model. And I know like people will be coming to these videos, maybe even with a much more advanced knowledge of the kind of practices involved around this than me. So bear with me as a beginner as I kind of wade my way through the waters, but please continue to offer suggestions, advice, things that I need to see, watch, read, etc. I really appreciate it. So with that in mind, what my kind of win today is that I got a notification on an app that for an ad that I did a while ago, a few weeks ago, a month ago, and that ad you can opt into a revenue share pool model, which is like you get a cut of the ad spend depending on how hard it's pushed, depending on what the clicks are. I think the company or the brand is in a bit of control as to how far they want to push it and how much, depending on what they get to see a little bit of, like, it's very stacked in the brand's favor. And at the end of the day, TikTok's the one that's benefiting the most coin from it, of course. But they probably get to control it a bit more. And so that had been sitting up until like 2 days ago at $60, I think, $70. It was like 50, 60, 70. The clicks weren't great. The numbers aren't great on my wall, which is fine. It was all a bit of an experiment. I woke up today and it hit some sort of bonus that I had no idea, haven't been tracking, didn't know about, and that bonus is $480. So now the total of that ad is in excess of $500 that I've earned from that. So, with all of this, you might be thinking, oh, but Kyle, that's just you and your disorganization. You didn't read all the terms and conditions and everything. It's A, really confusing, and I'm not going to read them. But B, yeah, sure, maybe. But you need to come with me on this journey knowing that, I am not coming to this as a skeptic, trying to find the faults in the process. I am coming to this as a grieving widow comes to a psychic medium stage show at your local entertainment center to get some closure from the extreme pain, discomfort, loss, and agony that they've been going through in the loss of their loved one, right? I am there. I am there as that grieving widow being like, he was a man, and yes, he did wear clothes, and sometimes, but also, yes, you're right. He had a creative soul. You might be like, okay, but you could say that about anyone. That money would have come in anyway. Sure, maybe. But I also feel like I am looking for answers, and I'm going to take those answers, because even taking that win today feels like it provides some sort of onwards momentum. And what I'm noticing with a lot of this work, and in my just live, there is this real momentum building luxury at the moment. I wondered also, I don't know how you would access this kind of unbounded manifestation mindset while you are wearing the shackles of something like full-time work in an office environment. And I know for most people, they are not shackles. It's the privilege of getting money and holidays and all that stuff. Not for me, they're shackles. But I don't know. It's not my problem because I'm not there. But I'm just thinking I didn't even know if me 12 months ago would have been able to handle any of these exercises because I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to think. And do you know what else I realized today? I didn't have the time to feel. I'm doing a lot of time to feel at the moment. I get up. I do a bit of French. I do some journaling. I make breakfast. I go out into the garden. I do a bit of weeding. I watch some things. I read some of my book. I sit and do some stretching and some breathing and I guess some meditation. I think about what I thought about on my run last night. I write a little bit more. I go back out into the garden. I might go for a walk around the neighborhood. I then maybe film a video. I then maybe do some work or auditions or send some stuff off. I then, The point being, it is a gloriously jam-packed with nothing schedule that allows my mind so much time to kind of just loop back to thoughts and not just loop back to them, but actually sit in them. I used to say oh yeah, I've got lots of time in my day to think about things. I've got a half hour or hour commute each way. I've got a lunchtime half hour where I get to just scroll on my phone while shoving a chicken schnitzel roll down my throat. And then I've got all the, intermittent, consistent times throughout the day that my mind's drifting off and I am just, my mind, I'm not being present in the moment. That's not really thinking about things. I would argue I'm probably not even thinking in those moments, but I'm certainly not feeling deeply in those moments from my thoughts. And to start to kind of really be I'm really grateful for this life. I'm grateful for so much that's going on. But to actually sit there and be no, wait on. I feel blissful. I haven't felt dread in my body for weeks, months. I've got this kind of just my joints feel lubricated from the amount of kind of rest I'm getting. I'm well slept. And because I'm well slept, I'm then clear-minded. Then because I'm clear-minded, I make good decisions and good goals. And then because I'm making good goals, I'm planning ahead. Because I'm planning ahead, I'm able to cook my meals. Because I'm cooking my meals, I'm saving money. Do you know what I mean? There's this real kind of velocity that feels like it's picking up. But it's such a privilege that not everyone has. And I'm really grateful that I have it at the moment. So the thing that I wanted to say is that that deal came through, the bonus came through, but then that same company also contacted me and said, hey, we want to use the ad on other platforms, so we want to negotiate a fee there as well. So, I don't even think that's Pilates money. Let's not chalk that up into the Pilates category. Let's just be like, thank you. Yes, please, more. But I think we can go further because I had some other fun thoughts of like how we could get the money. And I also even thought as I walked past a sign on a shop today that was like retail staff wanted, I started to think like, well, what's like minimum wage? Like $25 in Australia. How many shifts would I need to do per week to of like just a retail job to pay for a Pilates membership? Like 4 hours, 5 hours, like 1 day a week. And then I was like, that's kind of like fun to just have this random little retail job that I do not give a singular shit about. Can you imagine how fun I would be in that workplace and good at my job because I'm just walking in, checking in and walking out, dropping out, like easy to say. It all depends on the environment, whatever. But I was like, that could be a way of manifesting the money for a Pilates membership. Get a job and pay for it. Who would have thought, Kyle? Anyway, it's just another option out there. But so I was just saying it before about feeling and that idea of like thinking and feeling time. And the first text that I read the other day was just a very short one. It's like it's very it's very like littered with Bible verses and I guess very Christian, which is both familiar from my own childhood but complete ick, to read in any kind of self-help text today. But it's very old and it is called it's by Neville Goddard and it's called The Feeling is the Secret. It's very short. But the takeaways that I chose to get from it are that there is a real sense of like to feel, you need to feel something, not just think it. And your unconscious is doing a lot of like just absorbing kind of like in servitude to your consciousness. So you need to serve up in your consciousness some positive feeling states. And in particular, this little golden window before you go to sleep at night. So I was really up for that. So every night I've been really kind of like, which again, it feels very childhood nostalgic actually, like prayers before bed. But taking a moment to kind of really bask in the feeling of having arrived at a blissful life where money flows through, where there's like creative audiences waiting to connect with my creative output and on, etc. Or in this case, a Pilates membership awaiting me and the money from that. Yeah, so anyway, that's that. So let me just move on to my next point from my notes just about... Yes, the money that's arrived. Okay, well, there was a buy me a coffee that came through, so appreciate that always and always and always. It's not the Pilates membership, but it's still money that magically appears in my bank account, so I'm really appreciative of that. I missed last night's running. I've already done my running today, earlier in the night. Miracle. And it felt really good. But last night I didn't. I was out for dinner and it went later than expected. Then I came home. I didn't jump on it straight away. But what I also realized that was that like tonight's run was super powered. And I think that rest actually is in some ways acceleration. So I'm just going to hang on to that principle as well. That the idea it's not time lost. It's actually like recharging, probably muscles healing from my kind of, the intensity of this schedule that after doing nothing. So I also that was just a side note. I also just thought about as well, no, I don't want to talk about that. Okay. I'm also like one of the principles that seems to be consistent across so many schools of thought when it comes to manifestation is gratitude. And even if, again, this is one of those things where it's like, hey, imagine if someone comes along and is like, guess what? New report. All of that manifestation BS is just so wrong and so abhorrently like, damaging in whatever way, I'd still be like, okay, got it, I'll drop it. But also, hey, wasn't it good that I got into a gratitude practice? So I think there's sub benefits along the way, no matter what. The one of the things that I was trying to be am being really specific about at the moment is my gratitude. My friend Kate used to be very good in voice memos back and forth of prompting it, even begrudgingly. We'd be like, oh, things are so, like cooked at the moment, but like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, and grateful for this. And it felt important to even just do it in a begrudging way, which mostly it wasn't, but I'm just giving you an example of that's how committed we were to the routine. I think for me, I'm really trying to be specific. So when I'm saying I'm grateful for my brain, what I really want to say is like, I am so grateful for my specific brain, not just like a standard level of intelligence, right? Not just for making it through school as someone who didn't get pulled out very often for extra kind of like education support for various reasons. I'm grateful that exists, but I wasn't in a category that warranted that. So I'm grateful for that. But more specifically, I'm grateful for my brain. And I'm grateful for the same brain that is like, will push a deadline, miss a deadline, need to negotiate a new deadline. The same brain that is 10 years behind in my tax. The same brain that is the one that is like, keeps a room that looks like this. They're not the things that I have to solve and figure out. They are just part of me. And they're the same brain. It's the same engine that powers the creation of viral content, the kind of flip switch moment of being like, I'm now on a fitness and health journey and there's no turning back. It's just happening. It's the same brain that has the ability to creatively manifest everything that I want to happen. So I just am really grateful for my specific brain. That it's like creative, subversive, it's funny. There's like always this kind of like a dull kind of like reminder to try and be kind and try and be generous. And at the same time, the raging kind of like a lake of fire underneath that's like craving sharpness, directness, edges, conflict, tension in a way that like can sear through something, not just for the sake of the drama, but like in a search for authenticity, in a search for kind of like what else is there and wanting more. So I like that. I like that I have that brain. Yeah, so that's that. I also took some action today. I filmed a video. That's just sort of part of a different schedule to this. It doesn't feel the same, but I guess it's all connected. So I filmed a video, a short form TikTok, a Love Luxury one. I've got another parody idea, like a soap opera kind of episode that I have to film. And then I also emailed my old uni to ask if I could do any like guest lecturing there or any kind of work on a project. And then I also started to pursue 2 other kind of training workshop teaching opportunities. But I just need to halt for a second because the contact has changed. Anyway, the point being with those as well, I'm sort of going in, realizing that, yes, again, they could be just things that I could do on any given day, right? At any given time. But what changes about putting them under the umbrella of the 30-day kind of manifestation challenge, specifically for Pilates, is time urgency. Second of all, there is this sense of like, oh yeah, what's my fee? And my fee, usually the determiner is like, how do I make sure that they book me and don't go with anyone else? Like the fee is like, well, the fee needs to reflect my worth, intelligence, skill, and brilliance at work. I'm really good as a teacher. I find it very exhausting and all-consuming, and I also find the systems that that you have to slot into as a freelance not always easy or beneficial. So in saying that, it's one of those like nice goals again, where it's like, great if I could get it, happy to see it go and find another channel for the money to flow. And I think locking down a few of those as well is like, okay, it starts to make me think about Pilates. $80 a week. I don't want to teach every week. There'll be times with non-teaching periods, so I need more money per hour than that. So then it's like, what is my rate? And I feel like I'm a really great teacher that's worth like $200 to $300 an hour of my time. And then there's prep and blah blah blah. But like, I feel like just as if you wanted to call it a rate, maybe that's what like feels right, and then that feels like a really helpful amount to kind of meet that goal. Anyway. I'm just saying that there's even just some clarity around the way that I approach and sell myself as a freelancer with the banner of like having a manifestation goal at the top. I find that I think that's all I want to say for today. So money, it was just really amazing to have that happen today. I was just like, cool. And honestly, like if for weeks it has been sitting at like $50, $60, $70. So then today to be the day that I was like, anyway, I just thought that was amazing. I think words are spells. Okay, key takeaways. Words are spells. Journaling and creative expression, especially things that move beyond words, diagrams, drawing, artistic expression, I think are really useful in this work. I feel like there's this is so playful and fun to me. The Conjuring is just so. I can remember playing like witches and wizards and magic in the backyard when I was a kid. Don't tell my parents. We were very anti Harry Potter in my household. Too much kind of like demonic witchcraft inherent. But anyway, yeah, that's I think all I want to say. We sort of ran out on a bit of steam there because I thought I was billowing towards a different ending. I'm not. That's it. That's day 2. Thanks. I look forward to finding out what's updated and what new money has arrived on day 3. Fun. Thanks. Bye.